understood that we needed to do something in the community, bring all churches in a multicultural way. We broke all the barriers, the Hispanics, the Haitians, the people that didn't have our same language. We found ourselves doing some conferences every 3 or 4 months. We accomplished that for 2.5 years. We have to be one body in the Lord, be united, and make sure that even though we could have some differences, we are loving each other the way we should be doing.
Welcome back to the Christians of Brevard Pastor Podcast. I'm here with Pastor Eduardo Ramos of Familia de la Fe. They are a Spanish congregation with both a Palm Bay location off of Jupiter Road, pastored by Eduardo, and a Melbourne location off of Sarno, pastored by Wilfredo Gonzalez. Pastor Eduardo is also the founding director of the Christian Coalition of Brevard County, a cross-cultural ministerial organization that seeks unity in the local Brevard body of Christ and provides support and fellowship opportunities for pastors and ministries that are impacting the community with bold hope. How are you doing today, Pastor Eduardo?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciated it. We were just talking before the podcast, and I know we've been trying to organize this conversation for a while. I'm glad we've finally been able to get it together.
Yes, thank you.
I did just hear you've just made your way back from Guatemala, I guess a missions trip out there. Do you guys have a extension of Family of Faith in Guatemala?
Yes, we were in Guatemala a few years ago, 2022, and we met Pastor Samuel Salguero. He's a local pastor where he took us to a place where a family living near a dump site. They used to collect and recycle materials to live, but actually they made a few houses inside of the complex where they were living. So we went there, we met those people, we ministered, we shared the gospel, and we ended up doing some small houses for them made of aluminum sink, sink and some metal structure. It was only a 8x8 shed that was done for them so they can sleep and keep working. So, and that's how the ministry started in Guatemala. It's one thing maybe talking about it, but being there, seeing everything that all the need that the people has is very heartbreaking. So our heart was leaning to maybe doing more, and that's why we wanted to just connect with someone in that area that had a calling and had some passion for those people. And we established a church. We started working with that pastor, and recently, a couple of weeks ago, we just came back from Guatemala, just opening and establishing formally a church. Guatemala was about to pass a law that any church that might not be incorporated, they will thinking about closing it down. So we worked for those almost 2 years, a year and a half, to have the funding to provide the pastor everything he needed so he could incorporate the church. And now we have established church. It's a blessing because pastors that don't have the funds or the ministry or church that doesn't have maybe that umbrella, now we can say that we can help them out and just support them and not allow the church to close down.
Yeah, somebody else was telling me, I wonder if they're associated with that ministry because it's ringing bells, talking about the people that I guess they live, you said, in that dump and they collect trash and that's how they resell it and they make money off of that.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
They recycle, and
Recycle.
what they get is a couple of quetzales a week, maybe five quetzales. For us, it's almost nothing. And this is in the city of Jalapa. So we travel from Guatemala City to Jalapa. It was almost 5 to 7 hours. Once you get there, it's a beautiful place, but once you get there, you get so impacted by the people. So they greet you, they're open arms, and maybe you will have anything, but they don't close their door for the gospel. It's so awesome.
Yeah, that's an awesome effort. So maybe we can take a step back a little bit and talk about Familia de la Fe, but that's Family of Faith, right?
Yes.
In English, the English translation. So I understand you guys have been primarily serving the Spanish culture here in Brevard County, and you founded the church in 2009. Or initially, it was a mission church of the Church of God denomination, but then you guys went independent in 2018. Maybe you can just tell me a little bit of that story, what how God put that on your heart to start the church and what the journey has been like.
Everything started in a time where we had the passion of just in uniting once a week with many other members of the church and other brothers and sisters from other churches. During those gatherings, the Lord spoke to us and He told me to bring up an altar for Him. From there, a weekly prayer that we were doing converted into a church that we now call Family of Faith. And it's curious because the name Family of Faith, we saw that many of the people that were coming to the church were either mothers with their kids or people that had no other person in town. So we lean into being a family for the community. So that's how we connected the family part with faith. That was the beginning of the church. And like you said, we started in 2009 with Church of God. And after a while, we were progressing in the growth of the church. But in 2018, praying, the Lord told us to just to be independent, and there was a process that happened through that. But it was a blessing because as soon as we went independent, the church took a role of being also a missionary church. We started just connecting with people from other places and from people that were in our church. We connected to other places, and we started sharing the gospel outside of Florida.
When you came to Brevard County, brand new, I mean, I think it was just before 2009, somewhere around, what, 2006?
I came here in 2005, on December 2005. My wife and kids, they came in January. It was 2 months after that, in February 2006. And when I came here, really, I was not expecting of opening a church. We came out of Puerto Rico having a financial crisis, and so we came here after the guidance also of the Lord. God talked to us and told us just to prepare everything, and that we were moving out of from Puerto Rico. And actually, I didn't want to because um I used to live in the U.S. and I didn't want to come back to the U.S. I lived in New Jersey, Long Island, um, and I went back to Puerto Rico because I wanted to live there. And I told my mother when I was 17, and I don't want to go. I don't want to live here anymore. I want to go back. But God called us to come back here, and there was that calling of the Lord.
How did you find the Spanish community here in Brevard County? What are the challenges and the needs in the Christian Spanish community in Brevard?
It has changed a lot. When I
Yep.
came here, there was only a few churches that were active as Spanish churches.
Yep.
Some churches maybe had that ministry of uh, Spanish and English bilingual services, but we connected with one right away, Josue 19, that's Joshua 19. There was a full Spanish ministry, and for a couple of years, I helped the pastor, and I was the co-pastor. I helped them with the treasury and other stuff. I never said no to anything that the leader might ask me. But the challenges that we face it was a lot. There was culture shock that we faced because the church, when I got here, the church was already embracing a different culture. When I say this, is that they were accommodating everything as a church that was not Hispanic. We were used to different kind of church, and even though everything was in Spanish, but this how the service was conducted, and how there was a lack of prayer after a preaching, or there was no altar call like we used to. We used to go to the altar and pray after a calling from whoever was preaching. All that was shocking for us.
Mhm.
After that, we started teaching, and the Lord allowed us to teach in that church. and we started to bring back what we had learned from our previous church, and everything that we learned back then in Puerto Rico, and we started to teach the Bible. And that was another thing that was so shocking. Bible study were lacking of sound doctrine, but in a blessing of just sharing what Jesus says in the Bible. That's what makes a disciple. Whoever comes to Christ needs to hear what Jesus says through the Bible. No,
Mm.
they don't need to know much about how I think about things, or my prepositions, or my thoughts. That comes maybe second or third place. That I think the Bible needs to be taught completely, and knowing more about Jesus make us maybe realize that we need him more
Mm.
every day. So that was a lot of few changes that they got allow us to just to walk through and bring the church. Now the church is we see a lot of Hispanic coming in. I think we're around roughly 12%, maybe less,
In
in
Brevard
Brevard
County.
County. And I
Wow.
think in Brevard County. Also that this um numbers on a website looking for how many spies there were in Palm Bay.
Mm.
That's where we live and where we minister. So I think Brevard is around that there.
Alright.
There's some places that have more Hispanic than others,
Mm.
but
Is it
now
is Brevard well served with churches for that 12% of the population?
I think so.
Okay.
There's a lot of churches that people don't know about them because they are either in a house, uh, and they are maybe don't have a place to be. Maybe they are in a strip mall place like that, and maybe people don't know about those kind of churches. But I think that there's enough churches around us. Are we doing enough? We're never doing enough. I think we have to do more, um, because we have to look into the percentage of maybe those, let's say 10, 12% of Hispanics. How many of those are really congregating? How many are believers of Christ or not? So we have a lot. I still have a big challenge.
Yeah, and I know maybe we can dive a little bit into what you're doing with the Christian Coalition of Brevard here as well. I know you've worked for many years with cross-cultural ministry, and you did mention some churches have tried to serve the Hispanic community by offering multiple services. Maybe they'll have a Hispanic service alongside some of their English services. I know Calvary Chapel Melbourne has a Spanish ministry, um, and it might be doable in a very large church like that, but a lot of smaller churches, English churches, won't have the resources maybe to do that. So it probably makes a lot of sense that churches spring up that explicitly serve the Spanish population, like Family of Faith, because people need to hear the Bible in their own language, right?
Yeah.
Do you see when we're looking at cross cultural ministry, that ministries and churches work well together here in Brevard, or what are the challenges with that particular work?
I think we're working well. I
Okay.
think there's some challenges.
Yep.
It's not that we are not moving forward, but I believe we could do a little bit more. Some of the challenges that we might be facing is a lack of maybe preparation of leadership that we have. um, People might think that trying to unite churches, or try to unite the ministries or pastors might come with a consequence of maybe losing a member or not, and that fear, I think, is out there. I
Mm.
think it's still out there. We have to face it. We have to be more mature on this, because if we want to share the gospel and we want to be open and say that we are one church in Christ, we have to make sure that we don't go out with those kind of fears, and we have to be open to let the community know that there's a community of Hispanic churches
Mm.
available for anyone that might look for, and also there's a cultural also situation where we are not all from the same
Denomination.
denomination, or also from same country. So
Mm.
that also could be shocking, but it can be worked on a little bit more. We have to be more conscious that we are not from here. our nationality, and actually our no, our place to be is in heaven, not here. And we if we see each other that way, we can break
Mhm.
those kind of barriers.
So, what was the origins of the Christian Coalition?
The Christian Coalition actually came about, talking about this kind of issues. Actually, when we started, I was in a sabbatical. I was just had a very difficult situation. I was in a crisis.
Mm.
So for a couple months, I was in my office, and I was in there for a couple months without coming out. That situation was very difficult for me. It was a crisis, actually, and it came after the pandemic. I burned out, and maybe people might understand what I'm saying. I overworked myself, and I was not maybe able to continue pastoring the church and taking care of the church. So I seek help, and actually, I'm sharing all this in a book that will um, be releasing pretty soon, hopefully, in the name of Jesus. And I'm sharing all my testimony there. That everything happened to me during that time. Like I said, I burned out. I wanted to be at church, but I wasn't able. My mind was not there. Emotionally, I was not there. I was not able to care of those that need help also. So I needed time for myself. And after I came out of that situation, Brother David Gonzalez, who was a member of our church, called me that he wanted to meet with Dr. Efrain Rosario. Dr. Efrain was the one that helped us coordinate this effort, because God gave him a word, and through that conversation that we had, we understood that we needed to do something in a community where we could bring all the churches in a multicultural way, which it was had not been done before. There's churches that have maybe a congregation that has Hispanics, but not as we wanted to do it with the coalition, where we broke all them any all the barriers. We wanted to bring the Hispanics, Haitians, the people that didn't have our same language, and we found ourselves doing some conferences every 3 or 4 months, and we accomplished that for 2.5 years.
What kind of cooperation are you seeing among ministries here? Do you see some of the English speaking ministries coming on board as well? Is there cooperation happening there, or is that still a difficult barrier?
Well, I didn't find any kind of barriers.
Okay.
If there were, I didn't pay any attention to it from the beginning. From the first event that we did, where I shared our vision in our first event, there was people that already they it started getting close, and actually they wanted to talk about what we were doing, a vision that we had. I gotta say this, because one of the persons that stood up from all those people that got close to us was Christy, Sister Christy Stewart from Love Inc. And she was the one that started connecting us with a lot of people. Trevor Hislop from Live Well.
Okay.
Then after that, we connected with Wholeness for Freedom. Uh, and because we were sharing one of the initiative is how to care for ministers and their family when they had a crisis, and all that brought together the collaboration to create MCI, Ministerial Care Initiative. And now it's under the umbrella of Live Well with Trevor Hislop, and it's in his hand now to continue maybe something that will be a great help for many ministers and their family. I believe that we have to take care of each other. We have to
Yep.
help each other. We have to be one body, one cry in the Lord. Be united, and make sure that even though we could have some differences, make sure we are loving each other the way we should be doing.
It's good to see those types of continuing fruits that come out of, some of these efforts. We're not just getting together to talk about things, but we're actually seeing fruits develop out of that. I spoke with Trevor Hislop about the effort that they're walking through with Live Well to reach some of the faith communities and provide support for pastors and ministers. I hadn't realized that came out of the Christian Coalition, but that's really encouraging to see that there's fruits developing from efforts like this. Do you guys have anything planned here for maybe the near future? Any major goals or events?
We need people that may volunteer. We need a lot of volunteers that can help us out and help us source and bring out, the best of, our community to keep continue the efforts that we're doing. So if anyone wants to join us and be part of this movement, I believe we can do more. We are now working also with Pastor Paul Rosberry and their Ministry Network, and that's something that I have been working with him for almost a year, with that. So we're continuing, but we'll refocusing, also trying to see how we could be a piece of maybe help to others.
Yeah.
So in for this moment, we are helping Tapestry Ministry to accomplish their network. They have that great vision. It's very wide vision that they have, and I believe they're going to be able to accomplish it.
Yeah, and I know they meet monthly. Ministers, church leaders, ministry leaders from all over Brevard County meet together monthly with that Tapestry Network meetup. So that's really encouraging to see, and out of those discussions, lots of things develop, such as what happened with the Christian Coalition and some of that care that's now provided to ministers and pastors through Live Well came out of the initial discussions of the Christian Coalition. So it seems like the more we can get together, the more we can fellowship together, the more we can have discussions and talk and have relationships, the more growth we're all going to see in these ministries that are really needed in Brevard County.
Yeah, and hopefully somebody will have the encouragement to just come along and be part of all this. And
Yeah.
I believe that there's something moving, and now and now I'm rejoicing that the Lord is moving through the county, like He is
Mhm.
using people like young ministers like our brother from 3 to 1,
Adam.
Adam. So those are kind of things that are coming out from all this, and
Hmm.
everything that we've seen is a complement of ministries coming together,
Hmm.
and we have to continue with it.
And what about Familia de la Fe? Do you guys have anything coming up, community outreaches or growth plans in the future?
We are very community involved. Melbourne, we were helping Melbourne a lot.
Yeah, when did you say that church was planted in Melbourne?
We started almost 3 years ago. 3 years
Well,
ago.
still fairly a new church plant then. So,
It is, yeah,
yeah.
it is. So, the pastor that is here right now, he was evangelist, and God called him to pastor, and he waited his time to do so. We are now uh, continuing to, to give them the support that they need to keep expanding, and the church is growing. We have an event for chaplains, and those are one of the our initiatives that we also have presented before and with the coalition, and we associated ourselves with SEMA, chaplaincy and chaplains. So SEMA is a C for chaplain, emergency management agency. So this chaplaincy, it helps people that want to serve, maybe in a hospital, maybe in some places, prison or something, where they want to go share the gospel, but they we focus more on emergency crisis, like so if they need us, we could be prepared to maybe help and be of help to anyone that might need, or be a place of where we can just supply any kind of needs for the community if any situation comes up. So we have now a new course coming up in April. It's going to be in Spanish, of course. We are allowing people that might come. It is free, but if people wants to be certified, they want to have their own shield and stuff like that, credentials. It has a cost of $380. They will receive those kind of certifications to be a chaplain. So we are all about making sure we're doing ministry the right way. And actually, I'm directing a seminar of Church of God, council that we have left before to continue the church independently, but they call me, and we are now partner with them. We are working together, and I'm directing that seminar in Brevard County. So we have 11 students that are going to graduate now in summer. So
Yeah.
last year we ended up graduating around 15. This time we're going to graduate 11. Next year we're going to be graduating, if they finish, or around 17. So this is the effort of just preparing new ministries. And I want to say this, one of the challenges, maybe I didn't say that before. One of the challenges that we have is that we need to bring back the youth to be involved. The youth has to be active, and we have to prepare them. And for the glory of God, we have some youth involved in this seminar where they're being taught the right way.
This seminar, is it like a seminary that's helping the people, preparing people who are going to be ordained, or is it more of a broad education?
They do receive a diploma, not a certificate. Actually, they receive a diploma. There's a four agencies that are backing up this university. Actually, it's an university, but the headquarters of this university is in Puerto Rico,
Hmm.
and we are only an extension, like an institute, where we are this extension from the university. So
Hmm.
it's called the Universidad Teológica del Caribe. So it's the University of Theology, University of the Caribbean. And so it's a theology diploma they receive after they finish.
Why don't we, as we just close out then, you mentioned that I know the Christian Coalition of Brevard could use help. Anybody who might be interested in this effort and what you guys are really doing, just to restate again, is you're helping to drive cross-cultural efforts that help support and encourage ministry leaders and pastors in Brevard County. So if anybody is looking to help with that effort, they want to volunteer in any sort of way, they ought to get in contact with you, I assume. But then also, if there's anybody who might be interested in attending a church, I know you said 12% of the population here in Brevard County is Spanish. So how many of those are actually attending a church, I'm not too sure. But if they're looking for a church, Familia de la Fe, it has open doors, right? So how would they find you guys and attend one of your services?
We have services on Thursday and Sunday. Our address is 2270 Jupiter Boulevard in Palm Bay, Florida, 32908. They can call me at 321-216-5040. That's my number, direct number. I'm kind of old fashioned, so I will pick the phone. Actually, I don't. You will not go directly to a secretary. We do have one, um, but that number goes directly to me. If you go to Google, you're gonna find our last location. We have not found the way to fix that yet. So try not to look for us in Google. You can look us up and through Facebook, Familia de la Fe, Palm Bay, and that will give you more information actually than Google. And yes, if anyone wants to help us out, be a volunteer, want to be a coordinator, wants to be maybe an ambassador of their church in the Christian Coalition, where also they can call me. We have an event that we're trying to coordinate with pastors, Hispanic pastors, for the summer. Anyone that wants to just bring the community together in a Hispanic event for to share the gospel, and just call me, and we'll get together.
Amen. Appreciate your help, Pastor Eduardo. And thank you so much again for joining the podcast. Really appreciate it.